Well, here we go again. Something a little different today, just to get away from paint for a little bit. This is the heater control. And there really isn't anything wrong with it, except for all the pitting in the chrome. Now when this goes in against the dash, this surface here mounts against the back of the dash, so what you see is about 5/16 of an inch of this chrome sticking out, and as you can see, hopefully it shows through the camera, it's not in all that great a shape. The problem with these is you can't buy just the face. Of course, you got to buy the whole heater control, and it seems that price on this control is around $269 of the US dollars, the real ones. The problem with that being is by the time that I pay the exchange on it, pay the freight, pay the tax, pay the duty, you can usually add about 50%, so I'm up about 400 Kazakhstan dollars. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this face off. I can order a new lens for it. So we'll take this face off, I'll clean it up, see how bad it looks, and then decide whether I'm going to paint it or whether I'm going to leave it alone. But first things first is I need to take these knobs off. Those weren't into playing nice at all. Normally they will pry off, but these ones actually have sort of a copper, they must have been dipped in copper and then chrome plated. There's actually something to them. So anyway, what I did is just took and I ground the top side off of it, and then they will come off without any problem. I'll get this other one off and I'll be back. Okay, I've got those three off, and the way this plate is held on, this is, most people call it pot metal. I think all it is a cheap aluminum casting. But anyway, these tabs here are bent over. Now chances of them bending back straight are pretty slim, and even if they do, for them to bend again then to hold this faceplate on tight, I just don't see that happening. And it's not that I can take the three off to one side and slide it out, because I can't get by the controls. So I've got to straighten out all six of them. So I'll give that a try, see how it goes, and I'm putting my money on they break. Well, I went 4 for 6 on that. Anyway, no big deal. When this cover goes back on, you'll see these other tabs here with the holes in them. What I'll do is I'll just run some 632s or 832s in through there, and we'll use that to bolt the face on. So I have replaced or ordered a replacement lens for this, which will clean up the inside. And if you're wondering why I took this off to clean it up, is that this has got a black rim inside of it, but you'd never clean this up without scratching the face of this. So anyway, I will clean this bezel up. We'll see what it looks like when I'm done. I don't have high hopes on it, but I'll give you a look. Okay, what I've done to that bezel is I've given it all a scuff, and I used 120 on the little grinder. And by the way, if you haven't got one of those that uses the Rollalock bits, they're a handy little weapon. But I don't know if you'll be able to see the scar that it puts into the outside of that. And the only reason I went with 120 is I didn't want a real heavy scar into this, because it's not a good casting in the first place, so I don't want big scratches into it. And all these little pits, what I did is when I sanded, that knocks all the tops off them. And the only reason I've switched gears here and went on to this heater control is because I have to paint the gas cap as well. And of course, this is a repop gas cap. There's lots of parts in this car that just kind of vanished, disappeared, whatever. So it's a matter of me scrounging up what I can get. And you'll see these edges, I gave it a little bit of a scuff. And this primer, or whatever they want to call it, just lets go. And you'll see the finish on the inside of this. It's got some sort of a coating, or whether that's in the steel, I don't know. But this is going to let go. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So this I have to take care of, so I might as well do this at the same time. Both have to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this primer off here. I'm actually going to do it with a big flap wheel in my drill press. And that'll also throw the scratch in here that I want to. And I'm going to epoxy both these parts. So there's no sense getting the gun dirty just to do one piece. So obviously I'll do the two at the same time. Now the annoying part of all this, you know, it's not a big deal to do it, but I know for the effort I put into this gas cap, we're not going to use it. But once the body's back, I'll show you why, and it'll make more sense. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I've got these scuffed up, both ready to go. And you can see all the sanding scratches in that. Now again, that's with 120, and that's because this stuff won't be getting abused. If this was going on bare metal, like a body panel, a frame, any of that type of thing, you should have at least a scratch from an 80 grit in there, something to give it some bite to. And what I'm going to use is epoxy. This just happens to be the one that I like. And it's a 2-to-1 mix. I left the hardener open here. It looks like honey, and it's about the thickness of honey. And there's all kinds of different epoxies out there. This just happens to be the one that I like. And because that hardener is so thick, just make sure you stir it well. Get them really mixed. Some of the epoxies recommend that you stir it, you let it sit for 20 minutes, you stir it again, it's ready to shoot. This stuff is just stir it up, throw it in the gun, and let it go. But the other reason I was showing you this little process, other than I had to do it, was, say for an example, you're working on a 62 Volkswagen, maybe had some fire damage. This would be the exact same process that you're going to go through before you paint. So I will throw some epoxy on these and bring it back a little later and show you what it looks like. Okay, I shot these two pieces with epoxy. And epoxy is a non-sand primer. So what that means is you can shoot your top coat right over it. No sanding, just spray. And it also gives you a window. This particular one gives you a window of 7 days, I believe it is, before you have to sand it. So anyway, I'm trying to keep these as short as I can, but also let you know what I'm doing. This gas cap's going red. The heater won't be an issue, it's going black. But because this is going red, what I'm going to do before I paint it is I always keep a quart of base around that is tinted to the same color as what primer would be. So I'll shoot a quick coat of the gray on there so it'll look like primer, so I'll have no trouble covering it with the red. Anyway, we'll end this one here. I do have more to do, but I just don't want these videos to run too long. Catch you next time.